Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 95 of the Hangout with Coach Kerry show. We are counting down to episode 100, which will be the last regular live episode that I'll be doing. And then thereafter, from time to time, as I come across amazing people who have tips and strategies and things that can help you be more successful in business, I'll be doing those. And 100 episodes, that's a lot of video for you to be able to watch. So remember, you can go to hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. Don't forget to grab my book there, How to Get Out of Overwhelm and Accelerate Your Results Now. That book is free, and you can immediately download it from my website. And then you will also be getting notices of upcoming events and articles and all sorts of things that I'm going to be doing in the future. But today, I'm really excited about today's episode because it may be a little bit of a diversion from what you're used to hearing me talk about. And the topic today is, what does your personality have to do with success in business? And you might think, well, probably really nothing, or you might have a little bit of an inclination. So let me ask you this question. Do you ever struggle sometimes with, there are certain people that you just don't click with, and then certain people that you really click with? Do you ever wonder why sometimes you have to work really hard at getting the detailed stuff in your business versus you'd rather go out and talk to people all the time? Or do you struggle going to networking events and you'd rather actually do all the detail work behind the scenes in your business? Well, guess what? The good news is the more you learn about yourself, then the more you can put whatever needs to be in place to support those areas of your particular personality that are not that don't come easily to you. And so today, this episode is all about personality and all about how you can learn more about that and what you can do about it. So stay tuned to the very end because there's going to be lots of great tips. And this is going to be a shorter episode today, short and snappy, and stuff that you can listen to over and over again. So what does personality have to do with business success? Well, I'm certified in a program called Extended DISC. And you may have heard of DISC. It's been out there for decades. But Extended DISC actually is a more refined, a more specific tool that I use with my clients, and it's assessment. It's not a test. It's an assessment to really have them understand more about themselves. Because the more we are self-aware, the more we know how we are perceived by other people, then we can adjust that if that doesn't necessarily serve us. So let's take a look at some examples. So I've talked about already, people who maybe struggle doing the detailed work in their business. Well, when you do and while I use Extended DISC, there are other assessments tools that can give you information. Now, what I would say is that, not every tool gives you the results you want for every application. So sometimes in a toolbox, you're going to need different tools. So this particular one I like to use as an introduction when I'm working with clients, because what we learn is about our communication, how we behave around people, how we're perceived around people, what comes naturally to us, and what is actually a bit of a stretch for us in terms of what our comfort zone is. And please don't hear me say in any of this that if there are things that that don't come naturally to you, you still can't excel at them. Of course you can. We all can. It's just at the end of the day, if we spend a day or we spend a lot of time doing particular activities or being a different style than we are, it's going to be exhausting. It's going to take a lot of energy from us. So better that we actually understand what are those areas that become easily to us, where are our natural strengths, where are our easily developmental areas, and then what are those areas that maybe we might want to hire for. So delegation, this is a perfect opportunity for you to be able to look at when you might delegate. That if there are certain things that don't come naturally to you, then those are the things that you delegate. And then work within those areas that obviously you enjoy doing. Now, you're a small business owner. There are certain things that you're going to have to do regardless of it. And so I'm not in any way endorsing delegation by abdication. What I'm encouraging is that you are going to delegate appropriately, that you are going to you're going to be clear what that job description is going to be, and even though holding people accountable may not be within your natural strengths, you're going to do it anyway because you want to be successful in your business. So let's talk a little bit more about the 4 different styles that there are. And most models usually have 4. I mean, Myers-Briggs has 16. It's very complex, very complicated, and very difficult also for you to be able to assess other people in a fairly short period of time when you're talking to them. So this particular tool I use allows you to get into rapport with people pretty quickly because you can assess what their style is. So it's based on a 4-quadrant model. One of the quadrants is what's called a D. D is for a driver behavioral style, and that's the person that are often, they have a big vision. They're drivers. They tend to like to run the show. They have the ability to sort of see this big picture, and they don't want to do the details, and nor is that in their skill set to be able to do that. So that's a driver behavioral style. You can usually find them pretty driving, pretty goal driven and achievement oriented. And once one task is accomplished, then they look for something else. And once another one's accomplished, they want to accomplish something else. The next one is I, and I stands for an influencer behavioral style. And this is someone who naturally influences. They tend to be the Pied Piper. I think you can think of people who are Pied Pipers around you. They find a good movie or a good restaurant, and they're sharing that with people. So they're very encouraging. People around them feel inspired. They're likable people. They want to be around people. They tend to have also a big picture on it, not looking at the details at all. Lots of creative ideas are coming from them. And they're really good for inspiration in an organization. And if you're that behavioral style, you will recognize immediately that that's you. Lots of great ideas, maybe not so good on implementation. Then our next style is an S behavioral style. And I like to think of S as being safe, secure. These are the people that are really good support people. Often the professions that attract people like that are in the helping professions because they care a lot about people. And please don't hear that the other styles don't care about people. But S styles tend to put other people's needs before their own. And so these are people like Mother Teresa, for an example. She was an S behavioral style. And so these are people that are really good as part of having on your team, very good customer service. They tend to be a little more detail oriented and definitely supporting. That's their main role, is they want to be able to support and encourage. And then the last style is a C behavioral style. And C's are concise. They follow the rules, so compliance, so think of those C terms. And these are people that will do research. They will do all the details. They'll follow one step in front of the other. If they make a rule, they stick to it. There's no kind of, justification as to why it's going to change. These are the people who, follow the road signs. And they're often very careful about making sure that, safety first, the Scouts motto, be prepared. That tends to be that C behavioral style. So they're really good for somebody who is detail oriented, so bookkeeping and accounting, and somebody that needs to, proofread and all of those kinds of details. Someone who will follow that protocol that's put in place for them so that one step goes in front of the other. They're not changing it up all the time. So routine is something that they enjoy. Both S and C behavioral styles will enjoy routines. So why is this important in business, you may ask? Well, first of all, when you identify what your behavioral style is, then you can see how that fits within the roles within your organization. And, in the early days, you're doing everything. I get it. Absolutely. You've got lots of, you're wearing lots of hats. You've got lots of balls in the air. You're doing every job. But the fact of the matter is that I bet you if you really stop, you will know that there are naturally things that you do well and you like doing, and those things that are really hard for you to do and that are a struggle. So if that's the case, identifying what those are is really important, because then you can put things in place in order to make that easier for you. Just to give you an example, I am not a really detail-oriented behavioral style. I'm a big picture. I'm an influencer. I can turn on a dime. I've got those. Those are really good traits that I have and work well in my business. And I sometimes have to do very detailed work. So for me, I have to make it a bit fun for me. I've got to be able to put some structure, a timeline around it. I have to also have the steps really clearly laid out, because I won't remember what they are, because I'm always on to another thing. So I need to have the protocol laid out for me in a detailed form so that I can follow those steps, step by step by step. So knowing that about me helps me understand that there are certain things in my business that if I'm going to start delegating, those will be the first things that I'm going to do. Things that are not within my gifts, things that that I struggle to do and maybe avoid and maybe procrastinate. So let me ask you this. Are there things in your business that you are procrastinating doing? Then maybe there's a clue about your behavioral style in there that may reveal something to you. So from the running of your business, understanding your behavioral style is a really key piece so that you're not avoiding doing certain things and then you get yourself into trouble. And then also, let's say for an example, if you have to be the rainmaker in your business, if you're the person who's out there meeting people, generating leads, building on referrals, then you have to find a way to make going out and networking enjoyable and fun for you, even if it's not natural in your behavioral style. I talk a lot about this with my clients because often they struggle with being able to go out there because they feel like they're doing a lot of self-promotion. And if that's not in their natural and their behavioral style, then they feel that really uncomfortable with it. So we have to find a way for them to be able to go and meet people, put them in certain environments and situations where they're meeting their ideal client, and they're doing it from a place that from their perspective, they're in integrity, they're enjoying what they're doing, and they're being out there. So for an example, for someone who has a lot of S in their behavioral style, that's that support kind of person, then looking for ways that they can get involved in charity organizations, for an example, things that are really important to their heart, that they feel like they're supporting the community, will then not feel like it's a business networking event, and they'll feel like they're giving back, and they're going to feel more comfortable being able to talk to people. And then because they're really likable people because they're giving of themselves, then in turn, they're going to get some business. Now, it's a longer term strategy, but understanding that and where to focus your time is a really key piece. I also, for an example, deal with people who really say, I don't like numbers and I don't want to deal with numbers in my business. Well, there's a certain point that you have to deal with it. And you're at that stage in your business where you are the only person. Then you need to go to somebody to help you lay out what's the basics for you to do. What are the systems that you can put in place that make it easy for you to do? So if you end up with shoe boxes of receipts at the end of the year and it's a nightmare for you and you're years behind in submitting your taxes and you have no idea what it's costing you to be in business, yet at the end of the day you're saying you're not making any money, then it's critical that you actually learn some of those strategies in order to be able to understand that information. But then this is where you're going to go to a professional and have them help you make it simple for you so that you can understand those key performance indicators in your business, those things that are really important for you to be able to know, am I spending my money in the right direction? Are these activities generating the results I want? Those are really important. So the more you know about yourself, then you can identify your weaknesses, and then you can go on to look at those areas where you need support. You can also identify those areas that are your strengths or developing areas, and you can really start supporting those as well. So the real premise here is know thyself. And once you know yourself, then you can start making those adjustments. Now, this also affects in terms of you being out there in the public and hiring people, networking with people, building rapport with people. And I really started this episode talking about rapport. And here's the thing is the more you know about yourself, and the more you understand that there are different behavioral styles, then you can start looking for clues in other people. And immediately when you meet someone and you see some of those clues, then it's incumbent upon you to help build rapport, to help that communication. Because rather than taking the stance of everybody's got to be like me, what about a stance is that if we can actually start relating to each other, if we can develop rapport and relationship much earlier on in this relationship, then it's going to be a win-win for everyone. So if you have somebody that's a real driver behavioral style that you meet, for an example, they show up, on time, they talk fast, they want to know what the bottom line results are, then if you start communicating with them the same way, if you shorten up your information, if you speak, in a more succinct manner, if you talk about bottom line results, here's what you get, those kinds of things, they're going to immediately feel that you get them. And we all know that when we're in communication with someone and we feel like they get us, how much more we like each other, how much more that relationship works better faster. So if you're a really detailed person, and you know that what people need to know, these are the accuracy and the way things have to be done, but you're in a position where you're needing to actually be outside and meeting people and maybe rainmaking, then it's incumbent upon you to understand that not everyone's like your style and that maybe you might be giving people too much information. And in fact, you're actually going to walk them through or actually past the point of making a decision. So as you're out there in the marketplace, start looking for those clues. So a driver behavioral style, I already gave you some examples of that. An influencer is somebody who's going to have, be quite animated, probably going to talk a lot, probably talk maybe a lot about their situation, give you lots of information, sometimes more information than you need. But that's going to be a clue that that person is going to want, information fairly quickly, but they're going to want big picture. They're not going to necessarily want all those details. So, you're going to want, they're going to want to feel that you click and may have rapport really immediately with each other. They're going to be very likable, and they want you to be very likable. If you're out there where there's a person who's maybe a little more quiet, a little more reserved, thinks a little more, talks about family, that, asking questions, is safety important to them? They don't really like change. So if that's the case, and then you've got an S behavioral style, then you're going to answer their questions. You're going to give them that kind of information at a pace that's going to be important for them, and enough information that they're going to feel that their questions are answered. And then a C behavioral style, well, they're going to be doing things correctly. They will probably arrive a little before your appointment. They'll arrive early. They're going to have details. They'll probably have done their research ahead of time. So they're pretty knowledgeable. Well, then they're going to want lots of information. And if you make grandiose, wild, generalized statements, if you're an I behavioral style, for example, which you might do, kind of talk big picture and talk about, well, these are, thousands of people. Well, really, it might have only been a few hundred. Then that C behavioral style is not going to have rapport with you, because they're going to immediately say, well, that's not true. And again, accuracy is really important for them. So all of this means it's going to help you get into rapport with people much quicker. You're going to adjust your style so that you have rapport, and then there's that relatedness that's there. And then you can start building that relationship faster, and it's both going to get you both what you want even faster, and with more comfort. Now, does that mean that you always have to be someone you're not? No. However, communication is absolutely critical. In today's world, people want to be able to connect with each other. They're feeling disconnected. And the more that you can get that they feel that they're being heard and that you're in a relationship with them, they're going to feel comfortable with you, and that rapport is going to happen faster. So what does your personality have to do with your success in business? Everything. Everything it does. It's going to be whether you're a goal-driven person or whether you're not, whether you're going to push yourself, whether you're going to be disciplined, whether you get distracted easily or whether you're clearly focused, whether you see big picture or whether you do lots of details. And it makes absolutely difference in terms of your clients, the team you build around you, the kind of rapport you have, how you lead your team. That's a really key piece, because if you lead people like you like to be led, then that's going to be very different than if they're a different behavioral style than you are. So it becomes really important in managing that team, finding ways to find their internal motivations, because their motivations are going to be different than yours. And all this is done through a very simple behavioral assessment. It's not pigeonholing people. People can move within their range all the time. They can be highly successful outside of what their natural style would be. It's just that in the end of the day, there's maybe going to be stress involved in that, and it's going to be more challenging for them to perform and be highly successful in it, because they're outside of their natural style and their natural comfort zone. So if you'd like to find out more about what your behavioral style is, if you'd like to find out how that could apply in your business, then please contact me. You can reach me at my hangoutwithcoachkerry.com website. So Kerry spelled Kerry. You can contact me and send me an email there, and we'll be in touch, and I can talk to you what that might look like, whether it's for yourself or whether it's your team. I facilitate these individually for people, for their team. We use it often in a hiring process because we have been able to identify an ideal profile for a particular position, so that person has the best chance of succeeding. It's not the only tool we use, but it's one of the very important tools we use. I also facilitate weekend and long weekend workshops for teams in terms of helping teams work together and become a real high performance team, because the more that they understand about themselves and how to be able to relate and have rapport with other people, you're going to get your team performing at a higher level, absolutely unequivocally. So Please do contact me if that's of interest to you. Remember, we're coming up to 100th episode. That's going to be live with some of my VIPs on it. We're going to have some giveaways on it. I'm going to have some freebies for those people who watch it live. So please do tune in for that. That will be Monday, March the 7th at 9 a.m. Pacific. And I'm going to have you comment on my Facebook page it's Kerry Brown Coach, right underneath there. And that's where the people will be selected to win some prizes from me, some coaching from me, and some other things. So anyway, everyone, I hope this information's been really good for you. I hope it inspires you to think about how you're behaving out in the marketplace, and is that serving you, and how could you shift it in order to be in rapport? Would that increase the amount of sales that you make? Would that increase the amount of or reduce the amount of customer complaints you have, and increase your customer satisfaction if you're able to develop rapport with them and speak to them where they're at and meet them where they're at? My belief is absolutely would make a huge difference in the bottom line of your business. And so I encourage you to really explore this for yourself. So until next week, talk to you real soon, and have an inspired week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.